I'm going to be giving a talk on giving talks. Quite meta. I thought this would be interesting because I've had a few discussions with my friends just about like what makes a good talk and things to like kind of look for. It's kind of be like sporadic ideas I've just kind of come up with. So who am I? My name's Tryston. I'm a full stack developer since 2017. I'm currently working on building a web app for basically streaming games, watching videos, and chatting with friends. I have given multiple talks at these meetups over the last 6 months. My Slack and Twitter username are down at the bottom. So one of the first things is like when you want to make a talk, why? Like what's the point? In my personal opinion, you should try to have a point for your talk, which my talk has a title, most talks do, so that's the point. So for example, if you want to do a talk on a specific technology, like why would people be interested in it? It could be because it's new or just you're interested in it. Does what you're presenting possibly save development time? That could be like another thing you're like helping people with when you're presenting it. Could it possibly spark conversation? And just the idea of like why give a talk if no one finds it useful. I don't mean that to be like kind of harsh, but like wanting to be conscious of what people's time in the audience and stuff, or like how you could sell what you're trying to present basically. Presentations or talks are a two-way street. When you're up here, yeah, you're nervous and there's things you want to do because you're giving a talk, but also everyone in the audience, like, some people come here from like hour-long drives after working 8 hours a day. And you don't want to be just kind of sitting here through kind of a boring talk, if that makes any sense. Some things about nervousness. Obviously, this is different for some people. Something I've heard is like knowing your subject can ease your nervousness a lot because you come up here and you kind of already know what you're going to talk about. Understanding that everyone in the audience is the same as you. Most people, when they come up here, they're just as nervous or don't really know what they're doing. I know I am. Or there's the third piece of advice. Just imagine everyone in their underwear. If that works for you, works for you. So one of the things you could do when you're starting out with a talk is having a problem. So this goes back to like the point of the talk. I prefer to, when I'm giving a talk, like solving a problem. So there's two ways to go about this. You could start with the problem. Let's say you had a problem when you were writing your code, and then maybe you could go through the solution of how you went from the problem to the actual solution, which could be like, the code, the end result. Or you could go backwards, where you start with the solution, and then maybe like you think, okay, what's a use case for this? And then maybe like basically create a problem out of nothing. Stay on track. Slides are great because they kind of are bullet points for what you're talking about that people could look at. So like don't read straight from your slides and try to like stay on the track of like your overall point. I like to think of talks as like a story. Same thing with like tons of stuff. Like I've heard the term in marketing, like telling a story with like a landing page. You start with like the overall idea for what you're trying to sell and then kind of move in and show more things that kind of tell a story to the person. Not like a literal story with like a beginning, middle, end, but like the idea of you start with a problem and you take them on a journey of like some talks I've given. It's like you start with this problem that I've had and it's frustrating, and then I tried this and that didn't work, and then I tried this and then that didn't work, and I tried this and it finally worked. So kind of taking them through a journey with like ups and downs. This is optional, I think, but it definitely makes the presentation more engaging. The best way I could show my personality was through a Google image of color, I guess. But yeah, show your personality, do whatever you want. My slides are very blank because I guess I'm a boring person. But, some people have more color and pizzazz. So do whatever you want, just have fun with it. Yeah. Finally, obviously this kind of has been memed to death, but I kind of like it. Like, just do it. Like, you don't really have to. I don't want this talk to be like intimidating to anyone. I feel like it could be like that. It's just more ideas to like think about when you're constructing your talk. Just come up here, do it. I've had bad talks before where like I went up and I was supposed to give a talk on like how Vue Store works a few months ago, and I barely knew like any of the functions because I don't use them very often. And so I was kind of like bombing. But then afterwards, after I felt really embarrassed, someone came up to me and was like, "Oh, I was really impressed by your like skills at like recovering from what you didn't know and figuring that out on the spot. So it's like all of a sudden something that was like a bad moment was turned into something great. So just kind of, winging it's not that bad. Yeah, that's my talk. I don't think there'll be any, but are there any questions? Yeah. Yeah.
What's like the most unexpected thing? You're like you like prepared, got yourself ready, and then you gave a talk, and you're like, oh dang, I did not think about that at all.
I think definitely going back to like I gave like that talk I tried to give on Vuex in the store. I don't know if there's anything I've never thought of, but like I definitely underestimated how prepared I was. Like I was very underprepared. There were so many methods like I just didn't remember basically. Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Thank you.